Hello and welcome to another Daily Muppet. To kick things off, I know that everybody's worried about Frankie de Jong, so let's talk about it first and run through the latest and everything that is happening with Frankie de Jong, good and bad. What I'd heard and mentioned on Tuesday's video first has been confirmed, discussed, and is now out there very publicly as the main reason for the Frankie de Jong holdup, which is the fee is agreed. There's nothing wrong with that. But what's holding the entire deal up is money owed to Frankie de Jong and his agent in the form of wages and bonuses from the last few years. This has been confirmed by Jamie Jackson, James Ducker, and Simon Stone as well. The problem here is on an ordinary deal, when you sign a player, their contract ends. As soon as that contract is done and signed with a new club, the contract is over. There's no more money owed on further wages or things like that, and that's that. It's ended. In this case, Frankie deferred wages from the last 2 years to be spread out over the next few years at Barcelona in his wages. Not as a package that they owe now, but spread out over a few years. So the issue is future wages include money that he was owed for prior years contractually. But he did sign and probably make agreements to do that, to push it into future years. So what would be happening now is he would be looking at it and saying, look, I'm owed this money. There's 17 million pounds in wages and bonuses you owed me contractually when I signed up from years past that I haven't been paid yet. And Barcelona will say, well, no, that's future wages. It's added onto your future contract. We don't owe you anything. You don't get it. You have no right to future wages. I don't know the legal implications of all of that and how that works. I don't know who's right. This unusual situation, I don't know how that gets resolved, and it's a mess. But at the same time, the reason there's confidence is that one way or another, Barcelona can't afford to keep him, even if they had to pay those wages out or make a compromise. They can't afford to keep him, so they will have to resolve it eventually. Then, of course, you have news coming up now that Chelsea are interested now. They're looking. Obviously, they have Champions League to offer. I don't know what to make of it. You could say it's pressure from Barcelona. United putting it out there that the reason for the holdup is Barcelona owes this money. And then in the Spanish side, suddenly you get reports of another club interested and willing to pay and all of that. And that's a very valid possibility. It might be pressure from Barcelona, but perhaps Chelsea are interested. Perhaps they are looking at this deal and saying, why can't we get it done? Are they willing to pay more? Would they pay those covered wages? Would Frankie be more willing to join a team with Champions League? If you asked me in May, I would have said he'll join Chelsea because he wanted a Champions League team. He was not that open to United. But now, all this time later, with fees agreed, a lot of discussions have occurred between him and Ten Hag and his agents and all that. I'm less convinced that he would do that now. But time will tell if there's any truth in the Chelsea thing. I don't want to say there isn't, but it mostly coming from Spain is obviously a little bit suspicious. Overall, however, the concern I have personally is that this really just hasn't gone to plan. And it's been concerning from the start. This whole Frankie de Jong thing has really thrown a bomb in the whole summer, even though it's worth it if you get him. It is worth the trouble. He's an amazing player. It still has thrown a bomb in the whole plans and really caused some issues. Near on 2 weeks ago now, they agreed the fee, actually, and they were briefing they aimed or were optimistic to get it done before July 1. Then that didn't happen. Then it was time for the tour. Then that's not happening. So now it's, who knows? Now there's no timeline. Now there's no idea when it's going to get resolved or how it gets resolved or if it gets resolved. They think it will. You know, they know what the cost is for the deal. That's why they moved on to the other targets. But I'm just not happy with this whole circumstance because it has caused so many problems with the transfer business and has had a lot of a knock-on effect on other things. In terms of when Frankie joins, it's not a big deal. He'll obviously adapt into Ten Hag's system very fast. You know, I'd be more concerned about other people getting used to playing with him instead of, say, McTominay, for example. So that timing isn't ideal, but more than that, I'm less confident every day that United have a grasp on this situation and are dealing with it. I'm confident in the info I've been given. It's been right every step of the way on this de Jong deal. since the early May, when it wasn't likely, when he wasn't willing to join, and each step along the way, down to the fee agreed, down to the deferred payments now being the holdup. And it's still expected from the sources that Frenkie de Jong becomes a United player. And I see it. Barcelona positioning, saying things, Laporta doing this or that, jockeying for position, presenting their angle, and that being more what's going on, and it could be resolved at any point in time. But the length of time which it has taken is exceeding people who are involved's expectations, regardless of information. Even if it is just Barcelona trying to save face with their fans and their socios now, and trying to get Frenkie to take a wage cut and look like the villain, which is a part of what's going on. Even if that's happening, it's still frustrating, and it's hard to continue to feel confident in this deal overall. As fans, and obviously myself a fan, I can't help but be worried, and I know many people are as well, and I wish I could say 100% he's coming and all of that. The fees agreed. Usually this doesn't happen when the fees agreed. You don't get reports from Ducker, Stone, and Ornstein that the fees agreed, and then the player's not there, and it's 2 more weeks. This is unusual, and that's the worry. Even if the reason makes sense and it's not really United's problem, it's still a worry until it actually gets done. There are no definitives in transfers until things are done, and even as likely as this is for happening, and as much as I've been told United are still confident, I can't help but be concerned, and for other reasons as well. The De Jong thing isn't its own situation just in a vacuum. In fact, it's a bit of the catalyst for another major issue going on at the moment, which I want to discuss, or maybe a catalyst, whether you believe it or not is another case. But I do want to discuss this next, which is Cristiano Ronaldo. And I want to just say on the De Jong thing, there's work being done on it. There are things happening. United are in constant dialogue with his representatives, so they're well aware of what's going on. So if they remain confident, then there's no reason to not remain confident. But, we all have our worries for obvious reasons and would like to see this done sooner rather than later. But let's talk about Cristiano Ronaldo. And I don't want to rehash the past too much, but back in May, United had deals lining up for Nunez and Timber, and they put everything on hold for De Jong. Nunez was then signed by Liverpool in the beginning of June. Timber had his head turned by Luis van Gaal and stayed at Ajax now, and is very much staying at Ajax now. United did not then make a signing till this last Monday, which was Tyrell Malaysia, 15 million. Not a big signing, even though I'm excited about the player and think it's a good one, not a big one. About 2 weeks ago, they started panicking after it looked like they'd be missing on targets. It looked like Lyon were about to have a deal with Feyenoord for Malaysia. It looked like Arsenal were about to get Martinez. Eriksen is floating out there and had offers. And Anthony's price went up. So they made an offer for Eriksen. And he's agreed to join. We'll talk about that. They grabbed Malaysia. They started working on Martinez and Anthony. And this was when they knew the cost of De Jong and decided we got to move on and start making some other signings and work on some other deals. However, around the same time, Cristiano Ronaldo started making noise through his camp representatives and the people close to him. First, coming from Portugal about how he was unhappy with the ambitions of the club. And remember, the report in Portugal that first broke from Record, who have broken a few things with regards to Ronaldo, but this was the first journalist report, specifically cited the Darwin Nunez situation and watching Liverpool snatch him and be more ambitious, and how he felt that Liverpool and City were a level above, and United didn't have the ambition to match, and watching a player who was working with Mendes, his agent, get snatched up by Liverpool overnight while United put it on hold to work for De Jong is not a good thing. Now, how much of this is truly the reason why he wants to leave or the reason why he wants out, and how much of it is simply lack of Champions League, unhappiness with how the season has gone, that it's been an ugly year, all of that, it's hard to say. But he was telling United that he wanted to stay not that long ago. So whether he just changed his mind and did what he's done a few times recently, or whether it was actually because of these lack of ambition and signings, it is hard to say, and it's hard to say definitively. I don't totally believe it's about signings. I wouldn't say it would be right to say it's all about that. It doesn't totally make sense. But it could be a factor in accompanying with his unhappiness. If he was like, okay, I don't really want to be there, but If they're really going for it and we have a chance to win things next year, I'll be there. If they have a striker signing that will play Europa League so I don't have to, I'll be there. That type of thing. I wouldn't say that couldn't all be a part of the whole factor. Here's where I understand the latest is on the Ronaldo situation. Publicly, the statements from United are Ronaldo isn't for sale. They don't want to let him go. They don't plan to let him go. He's a year on his contract, and Ten Hag wants to convince him to stay and be a striker for the next year. Privately, they're a little less hard on that. I think Murtaugh would be rid. He wasn't the one who wanted to sign him. It was Woodward who convinced Joel to bring him in. He's been annoyed at a lot of what's gone on this year with Ronaldo going AWOL, a lot of noise and briefings and all the mess with the players, which there's two sides to every coin here. It's not to say it's all wrong and right, but it certainly has divided the locker room. Whether that's a good thing or bad thing, I'm not saying. You can have your own opinion, but it has divided the locker room. But mostly it does not see Ronaldo fitting the rebuild and the plans the club have and the stage that the club is at right now. United don't right now need a player like Ronaldo. They need to rebuild, and even under Oli, they didn't really need a player like Ronaldo. They needed something else. And so in that regard, it doesn't really fit from a footballing standpoint entirely. He's a great goal scorer, but it's like when you have Ronaldo, you have to win now. And that's not where United's project is. This is a project. This is a long-term project. It's a rebuild. They should be able to win something next season, but they're not going to be competing for the league and obviously not Champions League. The problem is they don't have a replacement. They just don't, period. They do not have someone lined up right now. Depending how this plays out, I'll definitely want to do a video discussing how United might line up without a striker, as I can see a few ways they might want to play with Eriksen deeper, Bruno and Van de Beek playing up top in sort of the City or Pool way of the last few years. And I think it could work. As to Ronaldo's absence, I have heard there is reportedly something with one of his kids, and I don't want to cast doubt or judgment on those types of things, so I won't. That is what I've been told. However, based on what it is, true or not true, he also absolutely could have communicated much clearer what was going on to the club, whether he'd be arriving for training, and the timing with all the reports of leaving and then not showing up for training and all of that obviously looks very circumspect and concerning, the Chelsea rumors and all of that. They still don't know if he's going to join the tour. He still hasn't spoken to Ten Hag, which they want to have happen. So we're going to have to see how it plays out. But it seems unlikely that he's on the plane tomorrow as well. Moving on to the other two names to discuss, Eriksen is on the verge of completion. I'm wondering if he hasn't been doing some sort of special medical testing elsewhere. And if something didn't happen on Wednesday as was planned or discussed or that I heard was going to happen, that is continuing in today. This morning there are reports that he's about to sign his contract, which usually occurs after that medical. Maybe he did a medical or some sort of testing away from Carrington where they have other facilities with regards to his heart condition. There's a potential that may have been occurring or is occurring today. I'll check this out and hopefully find out ahead of the official announcement if that is the case. I'm very excited by this signing still. As I mentioned in the group kind of podcast video yesterday, I think he's going to have a big role. I think he upgrades in a lot of positions and will offer something significant. United have given him a lot of money, basically the money Cavani was getting, and I think he's got more to give and contribute than Cavani was able to. Moving on to the next one, with regards to Lisandro Martinez, I got a note yesterday from one source that United were closing in on a deal. It is close, it's not done. Ajax do want, however, a 50 million euros package, and if the deal gets done, it will be close to that kind of cost. I think it will include decent add-ons. They're still in discussions today. They're trying to finish it today. Martinez is asking Ajax to accept the offers, but they are running out of time, and it does seem more likely that he and Eriksen could fly to Australia on the 12th or 13th to join up for the second leg of the preseason tour. In both cases, it still could move extremely fast, but the flight is in less than 24 hours, so it seems a bit unlikely that he's on that plane. If it does move fast, hey, maybe they can join up and fly separately, a few hours later and still be involved in the preseason and still be involved in that first leg. But I don't know if then you have the issues with visa with him and things like that have to be resolved. That will take a few more days. Beyond this, there's very little yet as we wait to see how De Jong goes and how it's resolved. United are exploring the forward market. They have had talks for Antony. However, as I've said, it's a very unlikely deal due to the price that Ajax are asking. They have not come down, and there's a huge gap in between, and hence Martinez is more likely to be the player they purchase from Ajax. So obviously, though, there is more money to spend somewhere, we think, and hopefully there's another signing maybe predicated on if Ronaldo goes. Personally, there's been some rumors recently about Dybala. They had asked to remain in the loop. They had some contact with his representatives. I would take him. I don't think it's anything serious yet, but I would definitely take him on a couple years contract. I think you could offer something, especially if Ronaldo goes. And yeah, so we'll see if they start exploring some more names. And I'll definitely try to update as quickly as I can with regards to Eriksen and Martinez as I get updates today and tomorrow. But that's all I have for today. So I hope you enjoyed watching this video. Make sure to like, comment, subscribe, turn notifications on. I'll see you in the next one.